Yes, we're starting now. If I give you a list of numbers, I mean a table of values. So let's say 2, 3, 4. This is a typical T-chart. Okay. And I asked you to find the inverse of that. All you're going to do to find the inverse is exactly what it sounds like. It switches things around and makes them backwards. So the inverse of this,
y divided by 2 is x.
right? It's even easier than that. You literally switch x and y.
Oh.
These are inverses.
And why do we need, like, what's that?
We're going to get to y. We're going to get to what we do. Okay. So x and y switch. Okay. Now we're going to do some equations and we're going to work with those, but I wanted you to see in a T-chart, we literally just switch x and y to find the inverse. So, let's look at an equation. I'll give y'all. Here we go. Let's say I gave you this equation. And I said find the inverse of that equation. Here's what we're going to do. Cheyenne, this is for you. Switch x and y.
Right now?
Yep. So Jordan said x equals 2y plus 3 is absolutely right. Does that confuse anybody? Okay, tell me when you're with me. All right, so now we want to solve for y. Okay, so what I want to do is get y by itself. So tell me what I do first.
Divide by 2.
You were right first time.
Subtract by 3.
So subtract 3. Remember when we solve, we go SAD map. Okay, so we're going to subtract 3. Now, can you subtract 3 from x?
No.
No, so I just write x minus 3.
Divide by 2.
Excuse me, now I divide by 2. So the equation for the inverse is x minus 3 over 2. I got y by itself. So I did addition subtraction first, which was move the 3, and then I divided by 2.
Yeah.
All right, so look, and sometimes, and let me forewarn you of this, sometimes f of x will be there instead of y, but we know that f of x and y are the same thing, right? If you see f of x, then put a y and can go on about your business and switch x and y, okay? So let's look at an example here. Let's say I had f of x equals negative 5x minus 15 over 2. And I said, find the inverse.
Hold up.
Hold up.
It's going to end up being.
Okay. F of x is what?
Y.
So this is really y equals. Don't let that throw you off. So what do I do first? Switch them. So x equals negative 5y minus 15 over 2.
Yeah, put over 2 over x, huh?
Well, I got to get rid of it. So how do I get rid of it?
Add 15.
Times it this time. If you think about it, remember how when we were putting fractions in the calculator and we put parentheses and things, that's in parentheses up top. So if I'm going SAD map, my parentheses come last. So the first thing I need to take care of is that 2.
Times 2.
Times 2, because that's being divided by 2. Does everybody see that? So this would be times 2 times 2.
2x, right?
Yep. Now it should be a little easier for you.
Yeah. Add 15.
You add 15. Remember, your answer is going to have an x in it, and that's okay. It's what we want. We want a new equation with x. Well, the 15 doesn't have an x on it, so don't combine it with the 2 that's there. Just leave it. This is a lot of write it and leave it the way it is, not combine things. So now what? What do I do now to get x by itself? Or y by itself, I'm sorry. Divide by
Negative 5.
-5. So the inverse here is 2x plus 15 over -5. So these two equations, this one and this one, are inverses of each other.
All you did was flip.
Switched x and y, and then we solve for y every single time. That's how we find an inverse.
Alright, so
we got all the
wouldn't
same
be,
numbers using different.
so you wouldn't times that, it wouldn't be 10y and 30.
No, 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 no. Because what happens is when it's on the top and the bottom like that, they cancel out. Let's do another one. What do I do? Change that to y. Always what I want to do first. Now what? Switch them. So now it's x equals negative 2y to the third plus 3. Say it again. That was whenever it's in a fraction. You do the parentheses around. What'd y'all say do? Minus 3. So I have x minus 3 equals negative 2y to the third.
You divide by 2y.
Not 2y, but 2, that negative 2.
And it gotta be 2 to the third.
We'll take care of the exponent after that, because remember we're sad map, so we're going to do the multiplication, division, and then we'll do the exponent. So again, we're not actually doing it, we're just writing it, so it's a lot easier. X minus 3 over negative 2 equals y to the third. So now this goes back to what we just took a test on. How do you get rid of this exponent?
You add the
You cube root it, right? Whatever this exponent is, I can take that root, right?
Yeah.
And it makes this go away.
Yeah.
So the inverse, and I just leave it. Again, I'm not actually doing anything, I'm just writing it. The third root, x minus 3 over negative 2.
That's the end.
That's the answer. Would you say we have to work on this?
I
Okay.
think I got it.
Let's work on it. Let's do another one. Y'all are going to be glad I did all these with you. Now you're whining now.
Oh.
Oh, go back to which one? The last one we did?
Minus 3 first because it's parentheses.
Well, first what you going to do?
Oh, so switch it.
Switch it. So it's going to be x equals, because this is really y, x equals y plus 1 to the 5th plus 3. So if you need to write sad map at the top of your paper to remember, because those parentheses are always last.
Minus 3.
Minus 3, that's exactly right.
Then you do the little cube or pit thing on it. Penta square.
So you're going to take the 5th root? Is that what you're saying? I don't know what pentasquared means, but okay. All right, so this is gone. Now here you have to be careful because you got to keep what goes under the radical under it and what's outside it outside it.
I subtract 1.
So when I subtract that 1, don't put it under the radical.
Now you put it in front of it, negative 1.
So I'm going to say that this is, sorry y'all.
How you get
How'd I get what? So I'm going to have the fifth root of x minus 3, and then outside that radical, I'm going to have minus 1. And there's the inverse. What's confusing? What am I doing? So this is number 11. I'll do 2 from your homework. I'll do the hardest 2. I'll do the last one in each section for you. Make sure you understand. Find the inverse. Negative 3/5 x plus 7/5.
This is number 11.
That's number 11.
That's crazy.
What's crazy? Switch it.
You subtract your
That's right, Andrew. Subtract the which one?
7/5, right?
7/5. That's right. So I can't combine it with the x, so I'm just going to write it. So somebody said divide by negative 3/5, and that's an option, but instead of dividing by a fraction, what's always easier?
Coefficient. No, the opposite of it.
Multiply by flip it. Flip it and multiply. Y'all are all put it together. So instead of dividing by negative 3/5, I'm going to multiply by negative 5/3. Okay? Now remember, I'm not actually going to do it over here on the left side. That cancels. When you multiply by a flip, it cancels. It gets rid of it. It's the same as dividing.
Just hold.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it. So negative 5/3 x minus 7/5 equals y. That is the inverse. And I am good with you leaving it like that.
That ain't good.
Why, you think it's too easy? No catch. This is number 27 on your homework. There's actually 3 sections, not 2, so I'm going to do 3 with you. F of x, which really just means what? Y. So in fact, I'm going to go ahead. Now in your book, you're going to see some things that follow this section like this. X is less than or equal to 0. Ignore that for right now. Don't worry about any of these little pieces that follow.
So what do you want me to write, though? Because everything we write, you cross out.
I changed f of x to y. But what I'm saying is in the book, when they give you the equation, they're going to give you this domain restriction to make sure that you don't divide by 0 or you don't have the square root of a negative number. Ignore that part that follows after the
Cross
comma.
that out.
In the book,
Don't
ignore
even look
that.
at
Don't even look at it. That's right. But if I didn't, then every one of you would say, what's this mean, Miss McGee? What's this mean? So don't look at it. It's not part of the problem. We're not going to look at that right now. All right, so I have y equals 16 over 25 x squared. Nope.
No, flip that thing.
So I actually have x equals, there you go. Sad map. Times it by what, Brady?
25 over 16.
25 over 16, because that's the reciprocal. These are gone.
Little square root of
25.
X.
Oh, wait, what about the square root thing?
So what do you do?
Square root thing. You don't have to put a 2 in there, do you?
No, because if there's nothing there, it's an implied 2.
Alright.
You can leave it like that. You might recognize those both being square roots, but here's the problem. If you try to simplify those, that x is under that radical also. Okay, so if you tried to make this 5 over 4, you'd have to keep the radical on the x. Because this x is under that house too, so I would just leave it. Altogether, but either one of these works. One more.
From the homework.
43. These are all from your homework. I'm doing them with you.
43?
43. I'm doing the hardest one from each section. In general, the last one in each section is the hardest, so this one, 43. F of x equals x to the 4th minus 9. X is greater than or equal to 0. Bryce, what am I going to do with that greater than or equal to 0? I'm going to cross it out. I'm going to ignore it. I'm also going to change the f of x to what? It's not many in each section. It's like 4 or 5 in each section, but there's 3 sections. We did one from each. All right, now what do I do? Come on, guys, how do I find the inverse? Switch the x and the y.
Yeah. You can add 9.
Add the 9. Now what? The 4th root,
What root? X plus 9 equals y.
and I leave it just like that.
No, I took all that out.
You took all what out?
Oh, that's right.
Tell me what you think.
Yeah.
Easy?
Yeah.